The story of Atlantis begins not with a map, but with a whisper from the past. More than 2,000 years ago, the philosopher Plato wrote about a mighty island empire beyond the Pillars of Hercules. In a single day and night, he said, the sea swallowed it whole. A city of splendor, knowledge, and power vanished beneath the waves. What he set down on parchment would echo through millennia, fueling one of the most enduring mysteries in human history. The ocean hides many things. It is vast, deep, and merciless in what it chooses to conceal. Civilizations have risen and fallen on its shores, and time has buried their bones beneath sand and coral. But Atlantis is different. It is more than a ruin. It is a legend, a story that refuses to fade, no matter how many centuries pass. Some believe it was real, others see it as pure myth, but the line between those two has always been thinner than we like to admit. Plato spoke of Atlantis as a land blessed with abundance. Fertile plains stretched out like a garden, rivers flowed through canals engineered with astonishing precision, and cities gleamed with marble and a mysterious metal called orichalcum. Towering temples honored Poseidon, the god of the sea. Its people were said to be both wise and powerful, masters of navigation and architecture, builders of wonders that would make other nations bow in awe. But their strength, Plato warned, became their downfall. As their pride grew, their virtues crumbled, their hunger for power angered the gods, and the ocean rose in fury. In one terrible night, Atlantis disappeared. Not a single stone was left above the waves. What remained was the story, a caution, a memory, a spark that would ignite endless searches. The world has always been drawn to lost things. The idea of Atlantis touches something buried deep in the human spirit, the yearning to rediscover a forgotten golden age. We imagine shining towers, quiet harbors, scholars walking marble streets under the soft light of oil lamps, ships gliding over dark waters toward distant shores. Atlantis is not just a place, it is the promise of a perfect world. Centuries after Plato, explorers, mystics, and scientists began to chase that promise. From the age of discovery to modern sonar expeditions, the hunt for Atlantis has crossed oceans and generations. Some placed it in the Mediterranean, others in the Caribbean, some beneath the polar ice, and others deep in the Atlantic Ocean itself. Each theory carries with it a hope that beneath the waves, a piece of the past waits to be uncovered. One of the most compelling ideas links Atlantis to the island of Santorini, once called Thera. Around 1600 BCE, a catastrophic volcanic eruption tore it apart. Ash blotted out the sun, tsunamis swept through the Aegean, and entire communities vanished. Beneath layers of volcanic rock, archaeologists have found traces of a sophisticated society with art, plumbing, and bustling trade. It was a civilization advanced for its time, destroyed in a single blow. To some, this disaster was the real Atlantis, a tragedy remembered and reshaped by time. But the legend didn't stop there. Theories spread across continents. Some claimed Atlantis lay near the Azores, rising like a jewel in the mid-Atlantic before vanishing beneath the sea. Others pointed to the Bimini Road in the Bahamas, a mysterious underwater formation that seems to form straight lines and right angles. Are these ruins or merely tricks of geology? Scientists debate, believers dive. The water offers no easy answers. Atlantis endures because it sits at the crossroads of fact and faith. It's a story too powerful to belong only to history, yet too persistent to be dismissed as fantasy. It challenges what we think we know about human civilization. Could an advanced society have existed before the ones we recognize? Could it have vanished so completely that only myth remembers? Every lost city ever found adds weight to the legend. Troy was once thought to be fiction until its stones were uncovered in the soil of Turkey. The jungles of Cambodia hid Angkor Wat for centuries. Machu Picchu lay silent in the clouds until explorers brought it to the world. History teaches us again and again. Legends often grow from the roots of truth. The ocean keeps its secrets well. It buries, erases, and transforms. A wall becomes a reef. A temple becomes a shadow in the sand. What was once a city becomes a rumor. But as long as stories are told, Atlantis breathes. It lives in the ink of Plato's words, in the minds of explorers, in the hum of sonar searching the depths. Every wave that breaks on a distant shore could be rolling over the bones of forgotten empires. That is what draws us in, not proof, but the possibility. If Atlantis is real, it may not be the shining utopia of myth. It may be ruins, crumbled and quiet, cloaked in darkness at the bottom of the sea. But even a single stone from its streets would rewrite history. And so, generation after generation, the hunt continues. Ships scan the seafloor. Satellites peer through the depths. Divers descend into black water, chasing shadows and whispers. They do it because Atlantis represents more than a city. It represents the hope that the past is bigger than what we know, that history still holds secrets waiting to surface. The legend began with a single story. But stories have power. They outlive empires. They travel further than fleets, and they can turn myth into memory. Whether Atlantis is buried under waves or lives only in our collective imagination, its presence is undeniable. It stands as a reminder of how easily greatness can disappear and how fiercely humanity refuses to forget. The ocean does not reveal its secrets easily as the sun sets over the restless Atlantic. A quiet shiver of wonder runs through the centuries. The idea of Atlantis has done something no ordinary legend can do. It has persisted. Civilizations have risen and fallen since Plato first spoke its name, and still the lost city refuses to sink from the human imagination. Why? Because Atlantis is more than a place. It is an idea, an image of perfection, a dream of a world that once was or could have been, and it sits tantalizingly between the lines of history and myth, daring us to search deeper. The most persistent theories point to Plato himself as the source of everything. But what if Plato wasn't merely telling a philosophical tale? What if his words carried the memory of a real event, a cataclysm so powerful it echoed through millennia? Scholars have argued, but the clues keep emerging. Across the Mediterranean world, from Egypt to the Aegean, whispers of a great island civilization destroyed in a single day resonate like a drumbeat. Some call it coincidence. Others believe these stories all trace back to one vanished city. In Plato's account, Atlantis was powerful but proud, a nation of shining white walls, golden temples and gardens unlike anything known in the world of his time. He said it existed beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar. If true, it would have faced the wide Atlantic, a symbol of the unknown. To the Greeks, this was a terrifying and magical frontier, a place where gods played and human ambition faltered. For centuries, explorers have chased this phantom. In the 15th century, as European sailors began crossing the Atlantic, the story of Atlantis roared back to life. Many believed they were following the path to that lost paradise. Some thought they had found it in the Americas themselves. It's strange to imagine now, but for early explorers, this myth was more than a tale, it was a compass. But myths don't endure without power. And Atlantis has power because it promises a golden age. Plato described a civilization with technology, knowledge, and social organization far beyond its time. Great canals linked its harbors, its fleets crossed the seas, its palaces gleamed with orichalcum, a metal the world had supposedly forgotten. Its rulers lived in harmony until their hunger for power grew too great. The gods, Plato said, turned their faces away. Then came the floods, the quakes, and the sea swallowed Atlantis whole. Many take this as pure allegory, a warning about human pride. But others see something else, a real event, dressed in myth. One of the strongest contenders for a real-world Atlantis lies in the Aegean Sea, the island of Thera, now called Santorini. Around 1600 BCE, a massive volcanic eruption tore this island apart. It was one of the most violent eruptions in recorded history. Entire cities were buried in ash. The blast sent tsunamis racing across the Mediterranean, devastating the Minoan civilization on Crete. Archaeologists have uncovered fresco streets, homes, and an entire world frozen in time beneath layers of ash, just as Pompeii would be centuries later. The sophistication of these ruins is staggering: running water, advanced architecture, and a seafaring culture. Many believe the disaster that struck Thera could have inspired Plato's tale generations later. If Atlantis existed anywhere, they say it might have been here, lost, not in the deep ocean, but to fire, water, and time. Yet not everyone agrees. Some explorers push the boundaries further. They point to the Azores, a cluster of islands far out in the Atlantic, sitting almost exactly where Plato described Atlantis. Satellite images and sonar scans have revealed strange underwater formations nearby, rectangular lines, patterns that some claim resemble roads or walls. Mainstream scientists dismiss most of these findings as natural geological formations, but the believers are not so easily swayed. To them, these patterns are fragments of a drowned continent, the last bones of Atlantis itself. Others turn their eyes to the Caribbean. There, near Bimini Island, divers have found what is called the Bimini Road, a mysterious underwater formation of massive stones laid in neat, rectangular patterns. It's an eerie sight, as if an ancient harbor or pathway once lay there before the ocean reclaimed it. Geologists say it's a natural beach rock formation. But to Atlantis hunters, it's a clue. They argue it's too straight, too deliberate, too clean to be an accident. What makes Atlantis different from any other lost city myth is not just the location, it's the scale of the story. Atlantis is not just a city. It's described as an empire, an advanced civilization that dominated the seas, influenced distant lands, and then vanished without a trace. It is this grandeur that has fueled thousands of expeditions, books, and documentaries. Everyone wants to be the one to find it. But why do we keep looking? Perhaps because Atlantis speaks to something buried deep inside us, a sense that once, long ago, we might have been more than we are now. Every culture has its golden age myth. For the Greeks, Atlantis was the height of human achievement before pride led to downfall. For others, it's a symbol of hope, of knowledge waiting to be rediscovered. To search for Atlantis is, in a way, to search for ourselves. In the 20th century, technology brought new tools to the hunt. Sonar mapping, deep-sea exploration, and satellite imaging gave us ways to peer into the ocean's hidden flaws. Expeditions were launched into the Atlantic, the Mediterranean, even Antarctica, each chasing faint whispers. One famous researcher, Charles Berlitz, popularized the idea that Atlantis lay in the Bermuda Triangle, swallowed by mysterious forces. His books became bestsellers, not because they proved anything, but because they rekindled the sense of mystery. At the same time, serious archaeologists continued their search in places that offered real evidence. One of the most promising sites lies off the coast of Spain, in the marshy plains of Doñana National Park. Their satellite images revealed circular patterns eerily similar to Plato's description of Atlantis' series of concentric rings. Excavations uncovered ancient structures and artifacts that suggest a major Bronze Age settlement once thrived there. Some believe a tsunami may have wiped it out. Could this be the seed of the Atlantis legend, or is it yet another civilization whose memory was folded into Plato's tale? Every new discovery brings both excitement and skepticism. Atlantis has become a battleground between dreamers and doubters. But in this battle, something remarkable has happened. Real archaeology has thrived. Even if Atlantis itself remains elusive, the search for it has led to countless discoveries: ancient harbors, forgotten cities, sunken ships, and entire cultures that had vanished from history books. The story of Atlantis also shapes how we imagine lost civilizations. Before its time, few legends dared to speak of a powerful empire more advanced than its neighbors. But Atlantis flipped the script. It suggested that human history might not be a straight line of progress, but a cycle where great civilizations rise, fall, and are forgotten. This idea resonates with people even today. It whispers that maybe our world too is not immune to time's tide. And then there are the wild theories. Some believe Atlantis wasn't human at all, that extraterrestrials seeded the city with technology beyond our understanding. Others imagine a lost superscience, energy, crystals, flying machines, and hidden knowledge locked beneath the waves. These theories stretch the imagination far from Plato's original story, but they reveal just how magnetic this legend is. Atlantis doesn't just live in history, it lives in every corner of human curiosity. But strip away the fantasies, and something remains: a powerful cautionary tale. Plato's Atlantis was a society that grew too proud, too ambitious. It was destroyed not just by nature, but by its own arrogance. This echoes eerily with the world today. Civilizations rise with great power, technology, and dreams of invincibility. But all it takes is one great catastrophe, and even the mightiest empires can vanish. Some scientists look at Atlantis through the lens of memory. Oral histories, they argue, often preserve real events for thousands of years, even when myth wraps around them. Perhaps Plato's story reflects a real cataclysm, a flood, a quake, a tsunami, perhaps multiple disasters blurred together into a single unforgettable myth. If this is true, then Atlantis may be less a single city and more a symbol of everything we've lost to time. Deep beneath the waves, there are places no human eye has ever seen. Miles of ocean floor lie unexplored, untouched, and silent. It's entirely possible that something extraordinary is waiting there, not glowing palaces or golden towers, but the remains of a forgotten people buried under centuries of shifting sand. It's this possibility that keeps the legend alive. It's this faint hope that draws ships, submarines, and satellites toward the blue horizon again and again. As the search spreads, one thing becomes clear: Atlantis may never be found as Plato described it, but the world it represents, a bridge between memory and myth, between what was and what might have been, is very real. It's in Santorini's ash, in Spain's marshes, and the strange lines beneath the Atlantic. It's in every lost world humanity has ever dreamed of. And so the legend continues to evolve. Each generation reshapes it. Explorers of the past sailed wooden ships across unknown seas, guided by stars and stories. Modern explorers guide robotic submersibles through the black depths, following sonar echoes and satellite images. Tomorrow, who knows? Perhaps AI will read the ocean floor like a book, and the final chapter of Atlantis will at last be revealed. But even if the city itself remains hidden, its shadow stretches far. Atlantis has inspired poets, scientists, mystics, and filmmakers. It has given shape to hundreds of fictional worlds, from utopias to warnings. It's a mirror, showing us not what lies beneath the sea, but what lives inside our imagination. The ocean swells in endless rhythm, as it did thousands of years ago. If Atlantis was real, its stones are cold now, its towers reduced to sand. But legends have a way of surviving even the greatest waves. Perhaps that is Atlantis' true power, not its location, not its walls, but its endurance. It reminds us that time erases even the mightiest, and yet, some stories are too strong to drown. The wind over the open ocean carries more than salt. It carries silence, a kind of ancient hush, as if the sea itself remembers. There's a strange power in legends that refuse to die. Atlantis has survived, not because it was proven, but because it was imagined so vividly, so persuasively, that the world could not let it go. It's more than a story. It's a challenge to everything we think we know about the past. If such a civilization existed and vanished, what else might be waiting, buried and silent, in the deep? Modern science has given us sharper eyes, but the ocean is vast. Even with today's technology, we have mapped less than a quarter of the seafloor in high detail. That means most of our planet's hidden history lies in darkness, submerged mountains, collapsed plateaus, sunken islands, places that could easily hide the last traces of a forgotten world. This alone keeps hope alive for those who believe Atlantis was real. Somewhere out there, beneath the endless blue, may rest the remains of a civilization that time could not fully erase. Some researchers think we've been searching in the wrong way. Instead of looking for one perfect city, they suggest Atlantis may have been a memory shared by many cultures. Flood myths exist in almost every corner of the world. From Mesopotamia's Epic of Gilgamesh to Noah's Ark, from India's Manu to the Maya's water gods. The story is always the same, a mighty world destroyed by water, with only fragments left behind. Perhaps Atlantis is not a single sunken empire, but the echo of multiple catastrophes stitched into one myth. Others look to geology. 12,000 years ago, the last ice age ended. Vast sheets of ice melted, raising sea levels around the world by more than 100 meters. Entire coastlines vanished underwater. Islands disappeared. The map of the Earth changed dramatically. Human civilizations living near the shore would have been swept away. Their stories might have survived not in ruins, but in myth. If Atlantis existed, it may not have been one city lost overnight, but hundreds of settlements swallowed slowly as the sea claimed its territory. One of the most striking theories comes from the region now known as the Doggerland, an ancient landmass that once connected Britain to mainland Europe. Archaeologists have found traces of rivers, forests, and human activity beneath the North Sea. Around 8,000 years ago, rising waters drowned it completely. For those who lived there, it must have felt like the world itself was disappearing beneath the waves. The people who fled carried stories with them, and those stories could have traveled far. Some believe these memories eventually merged into Plato's tale of Atlantis, a legend formed from real loss. But there's another layer to the mystery. Atlantis has always been a mirror for the present. In the Renaissance, explorers used it to justify their quests for new lands. In the Enlightenment, philosophers saw it as a utopia. In the 19th century, it became the backdrop for mystical societies and bold romantic ideas about forgotten knowledge. And today, it has become a symbol of what we still don't understand about our planet. It changes with us, adapting to each era's hopes and fears. That adaptability makes it both fascinating and dangerous. For some, Atlantis isn't just a story, it's proof of hidden truths, ancient technologies, even extraterrestrial contact. These claims explode across books and screens, often with little evidence but endless enthusiasm. Yet, beneath the exaggeration, the allure remains the same. Atlantis is the possibility that history might be deeper and more complex than we imagine. And maybe that's why we're drawn to it. In a world where satellites can photograph distant galaxies, where maps are complete and borders are drawn, Atlantis is one of the last great mysteries left on Earth. It invites us to wonder not just about the past, but about ourselves. Why do we need lost civilizations? Why do we chase golden ages? Perhaps because they remind us that human achievement is fragile, that time swallows everything, even the greatest. But if Atlantis is real, its discovery would be far more than a headline. It would rewrite entire chapters of human history. It would prove that advanced civilizations may have existed long before we thought possible. It would challenge our timeline, our understanding of technology, even our sense of identity. That possibility is why archaeologists keep scanning the ocean floor, why divers still descend into black water, why satellites peer into the deep. One of the most promising frontiers lies off the coast of Cuba. In the early 2000s, sonar scans detected massive stone formations more than 600 meters beneath the sea. Some researchers claim they resemble pyramids, streets, and structures far too organized to be random. The depth suggests they've been underwater for thousands of years, well before any known civilization. Investigations continue, slow and cautious, as the sea guards its secrets tightly. If those formations prove to be man-made, they could rewrite history in ways we can't yet imagine. There's also the mysterious Yanaguni Monument off the coast of Japan, a colossal underwater structure with terraces, steps, and what appears to be carved stone. Some say it's a natural formation. Others insist it's the last breath of a forgotten culture. These sites are scattered, uncertain, and debated fiercely, but together they hint at one thing: human history beneath the waves is far from fully told. As the search continues, the legend grows. Atlantis inspires scientists to push deeper into unexplored regions of the sea. It inspires filmmakers to tell sweeping stories of rise and ruin. It inspires dreamers to imagine a world both golden and tragic, and perhaps that is why it will never die. Because it's not just about where Atlantis was, it's about what it means. Atlantis is the perfect story, a civilization at its peak, a world of beauty, wealth, and wisdom. A sudden disaster, and then silence. That arc captures something universal. Every empire believes itself eternal until the ground shifts beneath its feet. Rome thought it would last forever. So did countless kingdoms before and after. Atlantis stands as a mythic warning. Greatness does not guarantee survival. Not then, not now. This is why the legend resonates so strongly today. Our world too is vast and connected, powerful and fragile. We build towers of glass and steel, sail across oceans in hours, and send our voices through space. But the sea still moves, the earth still shakes, and time still waits. Atlantis is a reminder that even the mightiest can vanish in an instant, and sometimes all that remains is the story. Some scientists now say that within the next few decades, we'll have mapped the entire ocean floor in unprecedented detail. When that day comes, we may finally know whether Atlantis was a real place or just a dream. But even if we find nothing, the legend will not fade. Because the real Atlantis may not be beneath the water at all. It may be in the way we tell stories, the way we carry the past forward, the way we refuse to let go of lost worlds. When Plato wrote about Atlantis, he wasn't just describing a city, he was exploring human nature. He spoke of ambition, power, and the dangers of forgetting humility. He spoke of the delicate balance between greatness and downfall. He didn't know he was creating a myth that would endure for thousands of years, but he did, and we are still here, listening. In the end, perhaps Atlantis is neither a place nor a legend, but a lesson, a whisper carried by the waves, a story about what happens when power blinds us, when we forget that we are not bigger than the forces that shape our world. Atlantis was said to have fallen in a single day. That's all it takes for everything to change. The tides will keep their secrets a little longer. The ocean floor will sleep beneath its weight of water and time. But somewhere, maybe in the faint outline of a sunken wall, maybe in the memory of a flood, maybe in a story told by a traveler centuries ago, Atlantis lingers. Not as a ruin, not as a map, but as a promise that the past is never fully gone. That beneath every wave is a story waiting to rise again. And so, the legend endures. Explorers will keep searching. Scientists will keep questioning. Dreamers will keep imagining shining cities beneath the sea. The waves will keep rolling as they always have. And Atlantis, the lost civilization beneath the waves, will remain exactly where it has always been, at the edge of discovery, balanced between memory and myth, waiting.